lots of krill, tasty krill. Yeah, you want those for lunch. At the top, you find things like tuna. And I ask you, what would you prefer to have for lunch? Tuna or krill? Well, that's the thing, is then you send out your fishing boats and you're telling them, harvest all the tuna you can, and harvest it as quickly as you can because there's a huge profit to be made from selling tuna. And what you find over time is that not only are the catches dropping, but the catches that are dropping most are the ones that you value the most. So we're essentially burning down this trophic web, reducing it, flattening it to just a few forms. And they're not necessarily the most desirable forms from our point of view. And this is going on right now. We're burning the environment, both on the ocean and on the land. And of course, this also has nice side effects, like this one that we're all familiar with. Those plumes of smoke rising from the rainforest, also the plumes of smoke rising from the smokestacks of industrial civilization are changing our atmosphere at a frightening pace. And this is the classic hockey stick diagram of temperature trends in the world around us right now, showing that sudden spike right there, coinciding with introduction of CO2 into the atmosphere by our industrial civilization. So this is not looking good. We are smart species. We cooperate very well, and we can do amazing things, and we can also do amazingly destructive things. And right now we seem to be focusing a lot on doing the destructive things, and that's something we have to change. Now, part of the problem here is our power. That science has granted us a great deal of power over the environment. We can do pretty amazing stuff right now. Yes, like, yeah, we can see that forest over there, and we can chop it down, burn it down, we can destroy it in days, something that took generations to build up. So we're really good at that. So science has part of the blame, that the misapplication of science, the misuse of science to benefit short-term exploitation of the environment is a terrible thing. But I'm also going to, I've got to mention religion a little bit. Who are you going to trust when you look at the world around you? And what we find so often is that, okay, again, maybe not in Norway. I know, you're better than us in everything. But in the United States, what do? We turn to people like this. This is Harold Camping, who recently predicted the end of the world. Waving his Bible. Here's his source of authority, is this old book that's almost entirely wrong. And he's using that to guide the application of technology. Because don't mistake this. This would be great if these biblical prophets were consistent to their values and refused all modern medicine and only ate the sheep that they raised on their own land and lived an agrarian lifestyle. They wouldn't be a problem. But Harold Camping is brilliant at exploiting technology. He's got a gigantic radio network. I can tune in Harold Camping at home. Just turn on the radio. There he is, spouting off all this nonsense. So what they've done is, again, they've misapplied the science, and they're using it to push some very bizarre views. In addition, these tend to be apocalyptic views. This is a big thing in the United States. Most of the major religions are really apocalyptic. They are predicting the end of the world, like Harold Camping. And in addition, what they're doing is they love the idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy. These are people who are actually working to end the world. And they're happy about it. They think it'll be a great thing when the apocalypse comes. So are you going to trust these people? I say no, you should not trust these people. Are you going to trust the scientists? And there I would say, again, and this may surprise some people, no, don't trust the scientists at all. Trust the power that they have. And what we need to do now is we need to harness reason and an ethical view of the world to use these tools of science appropriately and not use them to benefit religion or ideology or things like exploitative short-term capitalism. That what we need is new answers, deeper answers that reflect something of value in our culture and what we appreciate for the future. and use science for that as well. And with that, I will stop and take any questions you might have. There we go. Yes. Sure.
If we are overfishing, is it ethical to eat fish?
Now, yeah, this is the big issue. I think personally that it is ethical to eat fish in moderation. That I think it's an essential part of the protein part of many people's diets, and that I think it's a good thing that we have fish available. What it is a matter of moderation. None of these things, I think, demand that all cultures immediately stop all of their practices immediately and change everything about what they do. But to practice them sensibly is an important thing. I've lately been making the transition to a vegetarian diet myself, and what I'll do is I will have fish maybe once a week, or once every couple of weeks. And I don't feel guilty about that. Really, I don't. I keep telling myself, no, I'm not guilty. It tastes so good.
And it provides protein.
Yes, it's, and that's the thing. If you are having a big T-bone steak every single day, I'm sorry, you are doing something unethical. But yeah, have it every once in a while. Okay, this is part of your diet. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm from Chile. I wanted to ask you about the fact that, in fact, evolutionary theory was used to support capitalism and this aggressive competitiveness, the survival of the fittest and social Darwinism and all that stuff. I wanted to ask you do you think really that the contemporary social biology of Wilson and et al. Is really a new version of that, or we can sustain our struggle for a more cooperative and humanist society on these biological makeups like our sense of empathy and cooperation.
Right. As a good evolutionary biologist, I endorse capitalism in a limited sense. Capitalism is natural selection, right? It's part of the process. And as I mentioned, natural selection is really good at honing efficiency. However, what I do not endorse is the kind of exploitive capitalism that exists right now, where we ignore most of the costs and think only in the short term. Well, this is, here's a forest. I can rip it down. I can make profit that will last me my lifetime and screw my grandchildren. Now, evolution does its accounting over multiple generations. It does not care so much about the short term. That what matters is, does your line succeed? Does it flourish over many generations? Does it expand? And you can only do that if you have true accounting of how you are using your resources. So what I would say there is that what we need is new tools so that we can tell people that, yeah, capitalism is great, you can go out there and make a profit, but remember, you have to pay the costs of everything. That you cannot defer the cost of your pollution, the cost of cleanup of what you've destroyed, the cost of replanting, and expect somebody else to pay for it while you profit. So that's my short answer, is yeah, the exploitation is what's wrong, not the capitalism part, but just the part where it doesn't account for everything.
Hi.
Hi.
You mentioned religious people with apocalyptic views, that they're fatalists. But there's another sort of fatalist that I come across sometimes. Even last night I was talking with a fellow humanist. I'm from northern Norway. And he was really frustrated with all these scientists struggling to save one tiny little species. You know, why the species go extinct all the time? Why bother? You know, nature will find a way. So their view is we should just go ahead because it's all going to hell in a handcart anyway. How do you debate people like that?
Oh, wow. Well, you slap them first, then you kick them, and then they're on the ground. Yeah, again, that's exactly what I was just talking about. It's this kind of short-sighted, exploited view. Now, there's a couple of arguments that people make for that kind of thing. That, you know, here's this obscure guppy, you want to save it. And some people will make the argument, well, let's think self-interest, that we don't know what this guppy does. Maybe there's a cure for cancer in the pancreas, you know, these hypotheticals. I really don't go for that. What I'm more interested in, though, is that this guppy is not just a species on its own. It is a representative of a part of an ecosystem. And when you're seeing one species disappearing suddenly, that's not just telling you, oh, there's something wrong with the species. It's telling you there's something wrong with this ecosystem. That something is no longer allowing this species to flourish. That, you know, the appropriate way to think of it is that little guppy is the canary in the coal mine here, and it's telling you that there's something wrong in the environment. That what we ought to be doing as human beings when we see this is focusing not on, oh, we've got to rescue the guppy, but we have to rescue this particular environment so that it allows the existence of a large number of species. Too often what we find in these cases is that, you know, people miss this point, and that what they're really arguing for is rapid exploitation of everything in the environment. That yes, we should build the dam and flood this area because we need hydroelectric power for us. It's for us. Or we should plow it over because we need to plant corn for us. And the fact that certain species are going extinct, they think is a trivial thing, but what's really changing is the environment. We're just destroying the planet right there. And that's where our focus has to be, is can we think of ways to take advantage of the environment for our purposes, so where we can harvest at a sustainable rate from this environment, while also allowing a diversity of forms to flourish. Yes?
Very short. Our discussion specifically on the wolf, which is very controversial in Norway. Should we have the wolf? We're hunting down our big predators to extinction. The moose population is exploding.
Yes.
His argument is, well, then we just control the moose. Then we shoot more of the moose.
Yes, that's always the argument, isn't it? We'll just take over the role of every other species in the ecosystem, and we're good. They never volunteer to take over the decomposer's role and start eating it. Yeah. What that is saying, though, you know, when I hear that argument, what I like to say is, well, then what you're telling me is that we've got a healthy environment where the moose and the caribou or whatever are flourishing. Then what we should do is allow that environment to develop its full richness, its full trophic web. It's got to be there, and that's part of it. Is you know, when you have environments with wolves and their prey, yes, the wolves kill and eat some of the prey, but the prey themselves flourish. They do better because wolves tend to eat a variety of foods. They're not just focusing on one prey item, and they tend to take out the weak and the helpless. They're not going for the trophy buck or the biggest animal they can find. They're going for the smallest and the easiest to bring down, and the occasional calf and things like this. So it's a huge difference in the selection pressure that's being applied to the species. And in many ways, wolf is a better manager of natural populations than humans are, because we make stupid decisions when we go out to cull the herd.
If evolution is really operating, if evolution is really operating, by when can we expect the Christian idiots to become extinct?
They're outbreeding us.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm not so much worried about them outbreeding us, because, you know, my attitude has always been, oh, you're breeding more children for my school. Yes, more tuition money to me. This is great. No, the problem is that they're miseducating their children